Hi everyone. Just wanted to jump on the top of the episode here. My name is Rashmi, which you will find pretty funny in just a couple of moments once I get through this. And I am the writer and producer of this little fan project known as the Usher Foundation. And unless you couldn't tell, I also play the part of the protagonist, Amita Dasgupta. I just wanted to say a couple of things here before the episode starts. First of all, if you are somebody who listened to the first episode or read the first episode on Archive of Our Own or saw it on Tumblr or something and left a comment or even just listened without doing anything, thank you so much for that. I am going to be so honest. I made this little project expecting maybe to get like 5 to 10 views on it. And then lo and behold, I checked back a week later and I have like 50 something, which is wild to me. It is genuinely crazy. I was not expecting that at all. So thank you wholeheartedly for even just giving it a chance, even if it was not your cup of tea. But for those of you who did enjoy it, I hope you will continue to enjoy this fan project. I do have actual concrete plans for where I want this story to go. I have already like several episodes written out. I just have to record them. I have people who are going to be playing characters that are obviously not Amita. So yeah, I'm really excited about where this fan thing is going, and I hope you will continue to listen to and support that. I did also, for my second announcement, want to go ahead and let you know that I will be doing a regular update schedule. I was really conflicted about this. Because obviously, like, I'm not getting paid to do this. I have a full-time job, and finding time to write and record and edit and in the future get people together to do all of that on top of this. It's a lot of work, but I'm really excited about this project, and so I want to give you guys consistency. So we're looking at right now the third Friday of every month is when I'm going to be updating both on YouTube and on Archive of Our Own. If you are somebody who prefers to read transcripts rather than listen to it. That may change in the future if I end up getting a little bit more time on my hands or whatever, or maybe the opposite. If I decide that it's a little bit too much, I may go on an even slower update schedule, but I don't think that's very likely. So right now we are looking at December 20th for episode 3 of the Usher Foundation. I am so sorry. I know it's really slow to update. A lot of people will update more often, but again, I don't have the capacity to update more often right now. I work and I have other things in my life that are going on creatively wise. But yeah, hopefully you will continue to listen. Hopefully you will continue to support. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. That way you can actually get notifications when I update. And I really hope you enjoy. Thank you so much. Statement of Rashmi Phillips, age 25 at time of statement. Statement number 0917250011. Summary of statement. Mold found at place of work. Original statement taken September 17th, 2011. Recorded by Amita Dasgupta, archival assistant at the Usher Foundation of Paranormal Research, Washington, D.C. Statement as follows. I'm not some neurotic germaphobe. At least I don't think I am. I've never needed excessive cleanliness. I wash my hands and shower a normal amount, just as often as the next person. Sure, I sanitize a little often here and there, and I tidy up when I can, but nothing too crazy. Anyways, my point is, what I'm about to tell you has nothing to do with any mental illnesses I may or may not have. Probably. food chemical testing facility. I won't name the company, but there aren't that many in the US, so you could probably figure it out if you tried. I don't do anything too important. I'm not a chemist. I work with the chemists, of course, but my job is just to sort the samples that come into the lab. Then the chemists test those samples to make sure they're safe for consumption. You wouldn't believe how many brand names I work with on a daily basis. Again, I can't really name names, but let's just say most grocery store food brands have had to handle their samples. It puts food shopping in a very new light, I'll tell you that much. The thing is, when you're working with food samples every day, you're gonna have spills. Hell, in any lab, you're going to have spills. When you're trained, you learn tons of procedures to handle those. Chemical, acid, whatever. But at my work, the types of spills you'll see most often are food spills. So it's not uncommon to see mold in certain spots. It's not a big deal, usually. You just slap on some gloves, take an extra strength alcohol wipe to it, maybe take it to the dish room if it's really bad. But that's it. There's usually nothing so bad that it becomes serious. There's usually nothing like the mold I saw in the fridge. The fridge is where you find the most spills. We have big tubs of samples that need to be kept long-term. The samples that technically have all their tests done, but we're not allowed to toss them yet because of some arbitrary company policies that I honestly don't understand. So we have to let them sit. Only a lot of times, some idiot coworker will store the samples on their side. Then they leak, and then when I go to find something in the fridge, boom, there's a great big smelly mold patch. But the mold that I saw wasn't like that. It was 2 weeks ago when it happened. First of all, it wasn't in a sample bin. It was on the door handle to the freezer. There's a door connecting the fridge to the freezer, I should mention. I noticed it when I was putting other samples away. Just a splotch of it, really. Nothing to worry about, and nothing too serious from what I could tell. But it unsettled me. I don't know why. It was a rancid, greenish-black color. You know that color of mold that's been sitting for a long time? Black, with tinges of green and rimmed by yellow. It looked almost like a starburst on the cool steel handle. I was weirded out, sure, but I decided to treat it the same way as any mold patch I've had to deal with. I put on some latex gloves, grabbed some alcohol wipes, and went back inside to clean it. The cold air hit me like a slap in my face when I went inside the fridge to inspect the handle. Of course, it's always cold in there. It's a fridge, but that time I felt fresh goosebumps rise on my arms and spine. I had the oddest sensation that something was wrong somehow. I realized that no one was in the fridge. Not really unusual, but it was still silent and empty in a way that made me uneasy. You know that feeling when you're sitting outside and suddenly you feel a tiny crawling on the back of your neck? The awful realization that it isn't your hair or a stray wind, but some buzzing, creeping creature on your skin. The instant panic you get as you slap your hand on the spot, hoping you manage to kill the thing or at least scare it into flying away, but you still can't shake that tingling feeling of crawling, of creeping for at least a couple minutes. That's what the silence felt like. That sense of wrongness felt like something with too many legs and buzzing wings was crawling up my neck. But I stepped forward with my wipes, with the intention of wiping down the handle as fast as I could and getting the hell out of there. But when I looked back at the mold, it was bigger. I know there's no way mold can grow so fast like that, but I swear to you, that spot of mold to cover half of the entire handle. I stared at it and I saw it move. I screamed and stepped back, but the mold kept expanding. It swelled and covered the entire handle of the freezer, all crawling black and yellow rot that I realized smelled like sour milk, rotten eggs, and rancid sweat all rolled into one. It went still for just a moment, and for that moment I thought maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Maybe I'd just been breathing in the scent of one too many alcohol wipes. But I saw it move again, and this time it crawled down off of the handle and onto the door itself, a terrible and horrible inky contrast to the stark white. It was moving fast, like it knew I was there, and it was desperate to try to get to me, because holy shit, it was coming right at me. I don't know why, but I knew I absolutely did not want it to touch me. I scrambled back and I tried the fridge handle, but our fridge door sometimes gets stuck. It happens all the time, except of course it had to happen now, of all times, and I felt it. It didn't even touch my body. It just touched the hem of my jeans. And that terrible crawling sensation overwhelmed me all at once. I itched all over, as if my body were absolutely encased in tiny creeping legs, buzzing wings, creatures seeking entrance into my skin, desperate to make me into a home, into a hive. When that rot, when it touched my pants, I felt like the mold had somehow seeped through the denim and past my skin and into my bones. I don't need to tell you how much I screamed. The mold was pulsing, and that smell was so much stronger, and it looked like the floor under it was sagging and decaying. I'm not ashamed to say I was crying at this point, trying to shake it off, desperately trying to open the handle to the fridge. And just like that, it opened. I came tumbling out and onto the laminate floor, and it was clean and bare, and the air was free of that smell, and I breathed so hard, and I cried, and I was still shaking my leg. But the mold, it wasn't on me anymore. It took me a long time, longer than I would have liked, to get my breathing under control and get up from the floor. God, you should have seen the chemists. They were looking at me like I was insane. But eventually I was able to get up, and I mustered up the courage to look through the little window on the door of the fridge. The mold was back to being a little starburst on the freezer door handle. Like it had never moved. Like it had never done anything out of the ordinary. I stared at it for a long, long time. And I was about to write everything off as a weird hallucination or a fever dream. I don't know. But that little starburst, while I watched, I saw it ever so slightly grow again. I put in my transfer to the client services department the next day. I just couldn't stand thinking about having to go back into that fridge again. Besides, client services isn't so bad. I'd been working in samples for 2 years, so my transfer was granted. And I make a hell of a lot more money. And I don't have have to step 1 foot anywhere near the samples or labs. Ever since, though, I have trouble with dirt and cleanliness and mold, especially mold. I keep washing my hands and showering like I'm covered in filth, and I keep my own fridge spotless now. Not such a terrible consequence. Like I said before, I don't think it's an issue. I mean, I guess it's gotten more frequent recently. A friend of mine came here a couple years ago to make a statement, and he said it helped him, so I figured I might as well try it. Maybe it'll help with the newfound germophobia. I don't know. I don't know what happened to the mold on that freezer handle. My best guess is that someone else from sample management had to take care of it. And you know what? Better them than me. That's it. That's my story. It's yours now. Good riddance. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go home and take a shower. Statement ends. Case notes. This statement has been frustrating to follow up on. We did track down Miss Phillips, who is currently still employed at this food chemical testing facility. She's refused to add any further comments on her statement. Kaylee managed to get a hold of some of the other employees in the sample management department of this workplace, and none of them were able to confirm the existence of a malevolent mold patch in one of their refrigerators. Apparently, the department has had a high turnover rate since Miss Phillips gave her statement. The department manager declined to give details, but mentioned, quote, employees quitting for health reasons, unquote. Kaylee theorizes that this statement is the result of a woman with severe undiagnosed OCD experiencing a psychotic episode at work, a fugue state, as she calls it. I disagree, though. I've taken note of the manifestations present in this statement. In particular, Miss Phillips mentions feelings of being unclean and skin crawling. While I don't think this case pertains to the particular manifestation I'm searching for, I'm going to keep an eye out for cases similar to this one and try to compile some more comprehensive notes. At the very least, maybe I can convince Kaylee that there's more to this statement than just a mentally ill woman. End tape. The Magnus Archives is a podcast written by Jonathan Sims and produced by Alexander J. Newall, and distributed by Rusty Quill. Story, characters, and ideas written about in this fan-made project belong to Rusty Quill. Special thanks for this episode goes to Emma, Mari D., Amber, and Kaylee F. for editing. All audio used in this project was Creative Commons Use Audio. Thank you for listening.